Well, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Sherri Tenpenny, and I want to extend a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us here this week with Dr. T. This morning we're having a discussion with Christopher James from Canada, talking about the difference between legal and lawful, talking about our legal fiction and how our birth certificates were turned into chattel and put us onto a strawman system that is owned by the people who have created it. And we laid the backdrop into all that's been going on with the court system, and it applies to the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and those in the UK. So that was part one of the discussion with Christopher James in his in information he's doing. And so we are popping back on here for just a short period of time to finish up on that discussion because it was so important. So let's invite Christopher James back this morning. There you are.
Hello. Sorry about that, Sherri. I thought we were going to Zoom call.
It's a Zoom call. No, we're going to finish up here because what we laid on the backdrop of here this morning was so important. There were almost 2,000 people on that call. So it was really important. So I gave them just a little overview of the summary of what we talked about in the first half of this, and this we're going to go about a half an hour or so. But where I want to start is where we left off with those 4 questions that you said that everybody needs to know. And let's go through those kind of slowly. And then people are also asking, we were waiting for you to hop back in here. Where can they, I guided them to your website because they said, what can we read? I said, the videos are even better because they're training and I've been on your website. I spent quite a bit of time on it last night preparing for our discussion today. People who are watching this or listening to this, you could spend probably a month just going through the material that you've accumulated on the website and the videos and that because it's so important. So why don't we start, Christopher, with just a couple of sentences about what we were talking about, and then let's go into those 4 questions that you laid out.
Okay. As we know, a very big topic that we're dealing here, and the struggle for me that I had for many years, Sherri, was understanding that once I had all this knowledge, how do I make it simple for my fellow man and woman to understand what is actually going on here in this world? And it's taken me, again, a very long time to get to this. Up here. It's taken me a very long time to get this, but having done what I've done, I've now provided I've got this. Just give me a second here. Sorry, people, it's the first time I've been doing the Instagram thing. I have to borrow someone's template here, or tablet, because I'm not used to having a tablet here, so let me just get that set up. Come on. There we go. It's a little cockeyed, but
that's okay. Just keep going. It's okay.
Yeah. So what we have here is that ultimately, sorry, it's all cockeyed. It drives me nuts if I'm looking at it here. Just give me 2 seconds here. There we go. That's good. Okay. Sorry about that. So we have a very big topic that's going on here surrounding, legal and lawful. So I had to figure out how to make this very simple for my fellow man and woman. And it's this simple. When you come into this world, you are born free as a man or a woman. Our courts are not operating under the capacity of a man or a woman. They're operating only in a legal world. All our public courthouses are operating outside of any common law. And that's why it's called common law country, because it's that which is common to your fellow man and woman. They know the difference between right and wrong. They know the difference that we do not trespass against our fellow man and woman, and we do not administrate property without right. And that drills down to those 4 questions that we have here. It's very simple. No matter where you go in this world, unless a man or a woman claims that your property, or you have a contract with them, Sherri, then nothing that they do in their acting world, I should have said that earlier, the second that somebody acts in any type of capacity as a doctor, a dentist, a police officer, a judge, a lawyer, they have duties and obligations. You don't have rights when you're acting in any other capacity than a man or a woman. And that's why the 3 words, property, trespass, and who, are so powerful. That's what's in these 4 questions that we talk about. So it always first and foremost boils down to the first 2 questions. Who claims that I'm property? Nobody. And then who do I have a contract with? Well, if I don't have a contract with any of these people acting as governors, premiers, attorney generals, or whatever, then where do they have jurisdiction, control over me? They don't. So that's what you need to understand. And this is what I've been using with notices of liability in Canada here for businesses. I helped a water store owner and now several other people that are under attack, putting those simple 4 questions up. That if any of these agents or officers are coming into their businesses or to their homes that are acting on behalf of any service corporation, you better damn well have first and foremost a verified claim if it's the police that I've trespassed causing wrong or harm. I don't care about complaints. And the second thing that better be present there is an obligation, a contract that you have with their service corporation if they don't have a verified claim.
Slow down.
Yeah.
So question number 1, if somebody was taking notes on this and they were going to say so they want to write it down. They want to have it on a little card so that they can have it in their wallet or in their billfold so that when they run into a situation like this, if they were going to write it down, what is question number 1? What is question number 1?
The first one, if you're dealing with police, then you say to them, I require you to produce the verified claim of trespass against another man or woman.
Okay, so
that's the first one.
Where is the verified claim of trespass against another man or woman? Define trespass.
Well, that's beautiful. You brought that word up. Trespass covers everything, Sherri. It covers fraud. It covers, if your house was damaged, if it's a breach of contract, it covers anything. That's why you only use the word trespass. It's very powerful. Property covers everything else. It's your rights. It's your home. It's everything that's exclusive to you, including your children. This is how we got children released from the corrupt child protection services, is because the word property is deadly. Carl Lentz in the United States is an amazing man. He came up here to the Canada many years ago, and he's been blocked now from coming up here because why? He's been kicking the crap out of the bar every single time. You use that word property in a courtroom, that's what'll get your children back. You don't refer to them as children because nobody, remember we talked about earlier, no man or woman can administrate property without right. And unless somebody claims that your property or they've got a contract with you, then they have no business trespassing against you and administrating your children without right. It's very powerful, and that's what I mean. Carl taught me the simplicity of it's always those same words. I claim trespass, and you identify what the trespass is: fraud, theft, obstruction, whatever it is, did cause me wrong or harm. And then the only other second question, Sherri, is I require the immediate restoration of property. That's how Carl got the 4 children back from a couple in Moncton that he had a call-in show to. He simply put those 2 sentences into a court. When they flipped the page over, after the second line said, I require the immediate restoration of property, see exhibits 1 through 4, you flip it over and you see the pictures of his property, right? They're children. No names, no nothing. As soon as they put that into the court, the gavel came down. There were 20 affidavits that went into the courthouse. They all got pulled out immediately from all the professionals. Why? Because now they were all liable for theft. The bar was freaking out, and they walked out after this occurred in Moncton a couple of years ago, and they basically held up this piece of paper that they put in. The judge actually changed the word when they put this filing in ahead of time. They went to the judge's chamber, who'd been fighting with him for all these years, for about a year and a half before. He was doing the whole Freeman thing, right? He had stacks of paperwork going in. So finally, Carl Lentz got a hold of me and said, listen, the next couple that calls up, because Carl was under attack saying, oh, you're full of you-know-what, Carl, what you're doing. He says, I'll tell you what. He says, the next couple that calls me up here, I'm going to get your children back if they've been taken from CPS. Jesse and Jonathan called from Canada. He got on the phone. He had 10 days to work with her. He couldn't work with him because he was too gone on the Freeman stuff. So he worked with Jesse, and he told her exactly what to say when she got on the stand. As soon as she got on the stand, she simply pointed to the woman that was in the audience there, the head of the CPS, and she said, that woman took my property. And then she pointed to the man wearing the robe, who happened to be the same man that when they put the documentation in 2 days before the court clerk said, oh, just a second. She says, the judge wants to see you now in his chambers. And they're like, what? They've been getting fought, every conflict constantly at the court window. So they go into the judge's chambers, and what does he do? He sits them down and says, would you like some lemonade? All this stuff that people say, oh, you're never allowed to go into judge's chambers yet. This is going on. He brings him and he says, I see this paper that you put in here, the 2 sentences. He says, listen, we're all here trying to help your children and make the best for everybody. He says, are you sure you want to use that word property? Right? He had him change it. It was an hour and a half change each way. Thought, gee, this guy's being so nice. But yeah, we want to work with them. So they changed it back to children, right? They get home. Carl calls them. Carl, I won't tell you what Carl said. The air was pretty blue. They basically had to turn around and go right back there. He says, you changed that or you're never going to see your children again, your property. So they went back and they changed it. And then when they get into court the next day, that's that same judge that was doing it to them in the chambers. As soon as she pointed at him and she says, I require the immediate restoration of my property. He says, well, don't you? She says, I require require means demand. I require the immediate restoration of my property. Bam, Sherri. The gavel came down. He looked at the Crown Attorney. He says, restore this woman's property. So this is when the court all erupted. And of course, they pulled it all out of their case law filing so that nobody can find it. but they got their children back in 4 days. And not only that, Sherri, this shows you the power of these words. This is why you use the word property, right? Property covers everything in your life. As soon as they use that, the sheriff came up to them after the court and he says, I don't know what you put into the court. I've been here in over 30 years as the sheriff, and I've never what? Had to give back every single bullet that I took. That's why they took the children's from him, because he was growing marijuana in his house and he wasn't storing his guns to their satisfaction or whatever. So they came in and they ripped 4 children out of their home, put them in all separate homes right across the province. And Carl got those children back with those 2 sentences into the court. And basically the Crown Attorney came out afterwards and he held that paper up and he said, who wrote this to Jesse and Jonathan when they're standing in the lobby? She says, I did. He says, I don't think you did. She said, why? He says, well, because we're all scared shitless. And then he said to her, you ready for this? You want a job.
Wow.
Right? And that's what the people need to see, the power of this word property. And this is what I've learned. This is what the judges fear. When you know who you are and you access that courthouse, like when I go in, I say I require your name for my record to the man or woman that's honorably acting wearing a robe. When they give me their name, Bob or Susie, I don't call them your honor after that. They're my public servant. I call them Bob or Susie from that point on. Listen, Bob, this is the capacity I'm hearing today. You got jurisdiction over a man? He's going to run from that question. No, that's right. Now you've established jurisdiction. You're saying, where's the verified claim that's in this court if a Crown Attorney is moving against you? There's no verified claim from a man or woman. It's this corruption because of this foundational fraud that's occurred against us when we're all born. They're doing this whole theater in a court that you're this legal person that's bound by all these processes and appeals. That's what you talked about earlier. So there's no appeal process. This is deadly to common law. Because when I get Justin Trudeau or Doug Ford, or if you got, for example, Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton, you got them into court and you hit them with those 4 questions, that eviscerates everything that they've ever done in their career acting for their government service corporation, anything that they put pen to paper, their acts, their codes, their statutes, it doesn't apply to the world. And you're obviously a religious woman. I'm not so much religious, I'm spiritual, but you're going to love this one. You ready? Job 32:21. Everybody look that up in the old King James Bible. What does it say? Let me pray. I don't want to say it incorrectly, but basically it says, let me pray not that no persons are placed upon me, over me, or any titles placed, or I accept any titles, as in you accept a judge, a police officer. See, it's been written right back in the time that you do. And there's actually 22 references of the word person in the Bible, right? It's a naughty word. And this is what they've used to control the consciousness of the mind of man. People don't know the difference between a person and that you're only in law, a man or a woman or one of the people, full stop. You don't allow any other type of designation to be placed on you, like a defendant.
So what do you think about them now just saying that we can't have a distinction? They're taking out pronouns, they're taking out men, women, and all of these things. Is that going back to neuter this? Now, I want to make that answer really short because we only have a little bit of time here, Christopher,
Right.
And I want to be able to have everybody be able to write down all 4 of those questions, right? So the first,
Yep.
so let me circle back. Let's just do the questions. Question number 1 is what?
If you're involved with the police, you say, produce the verified claim of trespass that I caused wrong or harm to another man or woman. These are all on my website, by the way, on templates.
Okay, but I need to write it down because that's how I remember it. Produce the verified claim of trespass against another man or woman. No.
That I caused wrong or harm to another man or woman. Produce the verified claim of trespass I caused wrong or harm. Keep it real simple. You almost talk caveman-like.
Okay. And question number 2?
You always hit them then, if there's no verified claim, then there must be an obligation that this man who's in before you, because he's working for a service corporation, produce the obligation that I have with your service corporation. See, that's a blanket, powerful statement, Sherri. It doesn't matter who that man's representing, if he's representing a bylaw, a municipality, if he's representing a law enforcement agency, if he's representing some new arm of government they've created, the Department of Homeland Security, whatever. You have a contract with those organizations that man represents? No. So if there's no verified claim and there's no contract, then what is he doing talking to you? He must believe that he can what? The third question? Administrate property without right. Or
so what is the third question?
The third question is, who can administrate property without right?
Okay.
Within that service corporation that he represents. And that applies to a judge if you're standing in front of him as well. You say that to him. Who can administrate property without right, Bob or Susie? Nobody can. And then the last question is, then obviously you believe that I'm property, right? So bring forth the man or woman who claims I'm property, because if you don't have a verified claim, you don't have a contract with me, and you can't administrate property without right, And the only thing that's left is whoever you're here on behalf of must claim that I'm property. That's the only thing that can exist. So who is it? And they answer no to all four of those questions. And as soon as they do that, Sherri, it's over. It's over in a court. It's over in any type of interaction we're having now with this COVID-19. And this is what the police are starting to learn.
So when you say it's over, so let's say, okay, they have to answer no to all those questions because there is no yes. So they answer no. What happens after that? What's next?
Well, if you're dealing with the businesses, for example, then what's happening in Burlington here is that the bylaw officers and police, they leave the people alone. They walk away. They don't bother them because they know that they're going to be personally liable. You give them a notice within those 4 questions that we've given. You put them on notice that if you trespass, if you come into my business or my premise and you do not have a yes to one of those 4 questions, then the fine is set at $100,000 for the first trespass. The second one after that is $200,000. And that's what the businesses are using in Burlington right now, and they're pushing back because they realize this colossal lie that's gone on, and this makes it simple for everybody to understand.
Wow, that is taking knowledge and putting it into action. That is taking knowledge, which is, like I said in our first interview here today, just kind of an academic exercise. Interesting, all correct, but so what if you can't do anything with it? But now with these questions and being able to put that into place, and like you said, you just move the legal stuff out of the way so that we can get to lawful. And that's powerful. So that is a way that everybody could take this, whose their businesses have been closed down, who've been terrorized by the mass cops, who've been doing all of these different things, and they can open their business. And when somebody from the health department or somebody from law enforcement or the sheriff or whoever, even the sheriff, this even supersedes the sheriff?
Well, sure, unless he's got a verified claim, right? If he's coming in saying, hey, Sherri, listen, I've got a verified claim here. You've caused wrong or harm to another man or woman. You've trespassed. Remember, trespass covers everything. And you say, well, produce the verified claim then, Sheriff. Well, I haven't got it. See, they cannot interact with you. That's why this is powerful. If they go and relate, say, well, under section such and such of act, you say, stop for a second. That act that you're referring to, was that not written by a service corporation? They're going to go, a government service corporation? They're going to say, yeah. Okay, well, produce the obligation, the contract that I have with that service corporation. It's no different than McDonald's or Tim Hortons. They don't have a contract with me, then nothing than any of their agents or officers, you can call them all these fanciful titles again, legislators, whatever, that doesn't apply to me. Words on a piece of paper don't control a man or a woman. Contract makes the law. And that's how you shut them all down. You stand on that square, Sherri, and you don't move. And that's why it's beautiful, because you're right. People are learning this now at this foundational level. And once they see that, now they're looking to the public courthouse. Now they realize this massive corruption that's been going on against us. They go, they're going, now we see the way forward. This is the solution. The second that those rules of civil procedure, which I've proven now, the world can see do not apply to a man or woman accessing a public courthouse, it's game on. It's those 4 questions, Sherri, that's going to be on the top of all my claims to take down this corruption surrounding COVID-19. And when that happens, an incredible woman like you, Judy Mikovich and Dolores, you're going to come right in behind me and you're going to lay your evidence down on the table that you guys have. And you're going to get a warrant out for these people that are acting as these health ministers that are lying to the public through their teeth. So this is what I mean. We're not going to win this in the theater of this realm here. We have to move it into a public courthouse. It's the only place we've got left, because they've got the media covered. They've got the court structure completely corrupted. They've got the radio and television covered. They're shutting us down on the internet, YouTube. So this is the final leg here, and that's why this truth time has come.
This just brings it just brings tears to my eyes that it's just so simple and so structured and beautifully done and easy to understand, because it's sort of like I spent 20 years drilling down on the vaccine industry, right? There's a lot of information out there. Well, this whole common law thing and everything, there's a lot there. I mean, you're looking at all the people who have done this for lots of years and ferreted it all out. Like I said at the beginning, I've always felt like it was a really interesting and obviously correct academic exercise, but big so what if you can't do anything with it? What you're teaching people here, what you're teaching people through your website, what you're doing through action is telling people that if you know these 4 questions, which they can download off of your website, warriorcalls.com, have it for you, go into your place of business, instruct your employees that if I'm not here and this happens, this is what you do, is you read these questions to these people. And if they can't answer yes, you tell them to get off, get out of the business because they're trespassing, and be done with it, and get back into opening our businesses, get back into making a living. I'm just like so excited about this. Literally, I just feel like I could just cry tears of joy, because this is absolutely what we really need. This is thank you so much. God bless you. Just God bless you for what you're doing.
I'm just getting started, Sherri. Like I said, I thought I was here to bring this incredible gift forward through the music and entertainment industry. And what happened trying to right an enormous wrong and harm that happened to my family, no one messes with my family. I'll get you no matter what, lawfully, not legally. And through this enormous wrong and harm that happened to my family, I was given through the grace of God this truth. And I don't stand here alone. I've learned from hundreds of people before me that have come before me. But as you said, it's a very convoluted situation. So guess what? We can forget the whole trespass at birth, everything that we've talked about. You don't need to know the difference between legal and lawful. Just know who you are. And those 4 questions puts everybody on notice. What you have to do is you have to write letters to the municipality, the man or woman. See, in the common law, you don't sue a municipality, a corporation. You go after that top man or woman, right? That's who you hold liable, because they're the one that's controlling all these other agents and officers underneath them. And they know the second that they get brought into court, are they going to answer yes to those 4 questions? No. Then none of their bylaw officers or departments or whatever that have been coming and trespassing on your property have any jurisdiction. But in the legal world, if you don't know the difference between legal, everyone's all intimidated because of this theater, and you cut through it like a knife, and they're terrified. That's why this truth is so powerful, because the second that we get the numbers up, that everybody understands this truth, that's when our public courthouses are going to be surrounded with law enforcement, because they want to see this truth brought in, because they've been rooked over the coals for many years, seeing so many investigative work that they've done gets thrown out once the bar members get involved. Something else nefarious happens. Remember, we are the creators. We stand at the top of this, and the only people that are our judges is a jury of our peers. How a common law court works is there's 12 of your jury seated. That man or woman that wears the robe, which they're called, they simply bear witness, Sherri. Are the only people that make the decision are the jury of our peers, and you move your claim before them, you present it how you see fit, and then the defendant will do, or pardon me, I should say defendant, the man or woman you've made the claim against, they'll bring their information forward, and it's simply the jury after that decides whether your claim be true or not. There's no appeal processes, it's final, and it's very powerful. And this is what the bar is scared of, because they're going to lose complete control of our public courthouses, which they never should have had.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's almost like we have to retrain doctors, right? We have to retrain doctors that they can make a living without injecting poison into people, and there's things that you there's things that you can do that are good for human health. And yes, some people get sick and they need a way out, but they don't need a way out through pharmaceuticals. I've always said that pharmaceutical medicine should be the alternative. That should be the second case. If you can't get better by lifestyle, diet, supplements, detoxification, all the different things that are available, sometimes you do need a pharmaceutical. Sometimes you absolutely do. And, if you've had a ruptured appendix and you have septic shock, you need that. If you've broken your leg in an accident, you need pain medicine. There are things that we need, but that needs to be the alternative when there's nothing else we can do. So we do need lawyers. We need lawyers that know contracts, and they know how to design contracts and do it really, really well for us individually and between different corporations and companies, because you're right, contract is the highest law of the land. People that run the world, that have their foundations, all the things in the world of foundations, it's all done on contract. And the contracts, there's nothing that supersedes it. It's the most brilliant system that was ever put together here in the US back in like the 1920s. The Rockefeller Foundation and the Rothschilds and all those people, they're smart people. It's always so sad to me that they've used all their wealth and their brilliance for nefarious and evil things. Think of where this world could be if the central banks and the Federal Reserves and all the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all of those people had used their brilliance and their money for the good of moving humans and humanity forward, instead of power, control, manipulation, deception, death, and destruction.
Yeah. We had that with the Bank of Canada, Sherri, here from 1934 to 74. It was the first public, see, there's that word again. It was the first public bank that was created in the world. We, the people, owned it. We own the patents. So our debt stayed at $18 billion from 34 to 74. Why? Because every dollar that was collected through taxation got spent back into perpetuity into development. We went through the Second World War. We built all our St. Lawrence Seaway, our roads, our infrastructure, our hospitals, our schools, and our debt remained the same. Why? Because we, the people, own the patents. We created the money interest-free. It was put into the provincial, municipal, and federal level projects. But in the United States, you had your government usurped in 1913 with the Federal Reserve, and you had a private society now creating money out of thin air, not backed by anything. So this is the big thing, too, when you understand this big thing. And when I get into the courthouse, we're going to restore the Bank of Canada in a heartbeat. Right? It's going to be restored in a heartbeat. Those patents are going to come back to us. And what has happened? Think of the big picture now, Sherri. All of this massive constructive fraud that's occurred against us when we were born, these entities that created all this are liable. The Pope, the Queen, and the central banks. And when those court cases move forward, all right, you're going to see trillions of dollars coming back into every single country. And we are going to see a reset that goes on in this world like we've never seen before, because the people have the truth and they're going to understand law. They're going to understand the power that we all hold when we access our public courthouse, and that unless you've got a claim of trespass against you or some man or woman claims your property, you don't have a contract with whoever you're interacting with, then nothing that they say to you is of any force or effect. And if they choose, to trespass against you and put you in handcuffs, well, then you just let them know my fee you're contracting with me now trespassing is $1 a second. That's $86,000, $400 a day. That's a nice little fee to give them. And they will go, and they'll back away from that, right? Well, they will back away from that. Well, that's how you do it. Remember, they're contracting with you.
Well, Christopher, this has been, what a great way to start a week. What a great way to have like a Monday morning conversation that is educational, inspirational, and solution driven. Yes. If we can take all of that incredible knowledge, I mean, I can't tell you, even since Kevin died, how many people have said, oh, you need to spend time learning this stuff. It's like, no, I'm not, it's just an academic exercise. Now I'm excited to learn because there's something that you can do about it. There's something very important and instrumental that can make this happen. And you've drilled it down to the most simple of terms to move forward.
That's all it is.
So God bless
Nothing
you.
can occur against you, Sherri. Remember, they can't do the system that's around us when you talked about getting out of it. The system only exists because our fellow man and woman are acting in different roles, right? So if they can't answer yes to one of those 4 questions, you don't leave that square, then it's done. That's how powerful this is, and this is what the bar is terrified. That's why I brought this all into the light now by design. The Pahar court, I've got the Sequesky court going on. There's another court that's going to be filed in Alberta in another week or so, going after the heads of the Service Corporation, their top people that are, again, they have no right to be issuing all these orders and mandates and terrorizing the people, what they're doing. It's all based on fraud. This is how you hold them accountable, because after they answer no to all those questions, now you require them to produce the evidence they've relied upon for all these, these orders and these mandates they've been putting out, and they don't have it. That's when you, Judy Mikovits, Dolores, that's when you guys come in with your incredible knowledge and you mop the floor with them. That's what the world needs to see. We're this close to turning this world around, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting, Sherri.
So Christopher, thank you so much. Thank you for sticking in here with me and doing a second part 2 here on Instagram Live this morning. This will be saved on IGTV, and then we also move all of these conversations over to Podbean, to my podcast, which is the10pennyfiles.com, the10pennyfiles.com. You can find on Podbean. And I have to do a little bit of bragging rights here this morning, is that I started this podcast 1 month ago today, and we've already had approaching 26,000 downloads already in the first month. So we're just getting going. We're going to have more incredible guests and more incredible information of what's happening over there. We're going to be on Podbeam. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, and all these different places. And we're going to be on our own private servers so that the powers that be can't just wipe us. So I want to thank you again. Christopher, tell them where your website is so they can find you and follow you.
Yep, www.awarriorcalls.com. And you can also find me at earthunited.global. That's the point of our global spear, and we are going to get our numbers up right now. I'm uniting. I've been working with people in Scotland and England, in Australia. I've been helping people through the courts right now, and it's all on my website, real time. This is the beauty of this, Sherri. I brought this all in real time so that people can see the collective of few court cases I've got right now. They are the battle line that's coming now into our public courthouses, that everyone's going to see. This truth is going to get routed out. The rules of civil procedure don't apply to us. The police and all of us, we're going to get this corrected. And when that happens, look out, Sherri. It's going to be a beautiful world.
And we're going to get back to God's real creation of what we're supposed to be here for before it got all corrupted. So, Christopher, thank you again so much. This has been, again, I'm going to repeat myself, inspirational, educational, a great way to start the day. And both of these will be played. So part one, for those of you that came in late here, part one, we did the first hour here, and it's on Instagram Live. It's on IGTV. It's there. Part one lays the backdrop. It sort of like lays the background of what we've spoken about here. So it gets you ready for this part two. So if you didn't see part one, make sure you go and listen to part one. Then you'll listen to this part again, part two, because there is so much here. And then the podcast is the Tenpenny Files. You have to put the word the Tenpenny Files in on Podbean. So you can go over and this will be posted up there probably tomorrow, and they'll be ready for you to go. So with that, all of you guys, thank you so much for hanging in here with us a second hour. Yes, and I agree. Somebody just posted in here, this man gives me hope. This man.
I'll tell you where I can really give you some hope, Sherri. So I got to mention this. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday night at 8 p.m., I do live streams, okay? When you go to my website, register at the bottom link there, because you're going to hear everything in real time. You're meeting all the people, especially the brave women that are in Calgary right now that are about to do this on behalf of the world as well. You're going to hear everything in real time, Sherri, and that's where people need to hit the road. My live stream started on August 6th. Go back and watch them from then till now, and your mind will have all the foundational knowledge that you need, and you'll see the solution moving forward. That is my commitment and promise to all of you.
And you do that Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern. And where's the live stream?
You find it. You can find the link in the bottom. You can register at the bottom of my website at warriorcalls.com.
So you live stream through your website?
It's actually through a private server, because again, YouTube had shut me down in November there. So we've got a private system, but that allows you to register for all 3 days. And once you're registered for all 3 nights, you don't have to do anything else. You get a notification when we're going live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Wow. Well, we're on fire with you this morning, Christopher. I could see everybody
Good.
here. It lit all the little hearts coming up, and all the little the comments. And I have to agree with what one of the speakers or one of the people posted in here this morning. This really gives me hope. It doesn't matter who's the president, who's not the president. It doesn't matter who the president's handlers are. It doesn't matter about the Supreme Court nonsense. This whole issue gives us hope. So we're going to be having you back again, Christopher, and you and I are going to reschedule for our deep dive and go into some different things on for our premium members, because we've got a big following of premium members too, that we take a deep dive in something that's just for them. So with that, I want to announce that tomorrow night we have a great guest on Happy Hour. I do a live stream on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday night. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday night. So your followers can follow us on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we can follow you on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and just like get the word out there. So our Happy Hour with Dr. T is a Bible study. So we get together, we share a word of God, we have a little Bible study about it, we pray together. I invite some really important people because we want God on the playing field with us. You know, we're fighting powers and principalities and the darkness that is above us. In fact, I think I'll read, usually I'm going to close this out today with the armor of God, because you need this around you too, Christopher. It's Ephesians 6, verses 19 through 20. It's verses 10 through 20. And finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything, you will still remain standing. Stand firm, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes with the gospel of peace. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions. Pray that whenever you speak, words may be given to me, that I am fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel. So we put on the full armor of God, and remember that the breastplate, the sword, the helmet, the belt, it's all on the front side of us. Because if you stay strong in God, God's got our back. So with that, everybody, thank you for joining us for a second this week with Dr. T this morning. These will all be saved. They'll be posted up on Podbeam. And I have to say it again, Romans 12:12, rejoice in hope, be patient in trouble, and persistent in prayer. Until we meet again next time, Christopher, thank you so much. And everybody have a magnificent day. We love everybody that's here. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.
God bless.